How's it going, everybody? It's Young here, and welcome to a Death Stranding news update. The following information comes from the PlayStation blog, who recently posted an article detailing an interview that they did with Hideo Kojima, through which he shared some new details about the highly anticipated title. A lot of the information conveyed here is stuff that you'll be familiar with if you've been keeping up with my videos, but there are also one or two things that Kojima's never talked about before. The interview began with Kojima being asked whether the idea of Death Stranding was one he's had for a while, or if it's something very new, to which Kojima answered that it's a relatively new idea that yielded from considering things like, what game do I need to make now? What type of game does the market want now? What kind of game can we make? As well as the desire to make something different. Then, Kojima was asked what type of game Death Stranding will be, to which Kojima simply replied that it'll be an action game, as he said many times before, and reiterated that while it will feel familiar and be easy to get into for those who play AAA action games, players will start to see things they might not have seen before in a game after a few hours. When pressed further for gameplay details, Kojima stated once again that Death Stranding is an open-world game with a lot of freedom. Now, one new detail that he shared is that Death Stranding will allow players to drive vehicles if they want to. The world is that spacious, open, and free, it would seem. Kojima also stated that if you're a fighter type of player, there's plenty of opportunities for that in the game, but the game will also feature ways to play for those who are not the fighter type, which is interesting. This is probably where the theme of connections will come into play, which is something that he discussed in this next excerpt, where Kojima talks about how he wants to break the convention of always having to use guns or the equivalent of sticks to take down opponents. His intention with Death Stranding is to go beyond that with something that doesn't always focus on a weapon like a gun, and that's what has a connection to the Strand concept. The next topic of discussion was online play. Kojima once again said that he couldn't say much at the moment, but he did confirm that Death Stranding will feature some kind of online component and emphasized that the feature would be optional, which means you can enjoy the game purely as a single-player game if you so desire. Kojima also noted that the online component of Death Stranding is different than what most people will come to expect. It's not the type of online where you finish the main campaign and then you take it to the online mode. It won't be your typical Call of Duty style competitive or co-op multiplayer experience or what have you. Kojima didn't provide any more details beyond that, but it's looking like the online component of Death Stranding will somehow be integrated into the campaign itself in a manner that is optional. So I would say something along the lines of Metal Gear Solid 5's FOB system, which was directly implemented into the game's single-player campaign, whereas something like Metal Gear Online was a separate entity of its own, so more FOB system-esque than Metal Gear Online-esque, if that makes any sense. The next few questions all asked Kojima about his search for a new game engine, how he came to choose Guerrillas, and how that partnership has flourished and developed, and this is all information that I've already talked about in my previous videos, so I am going to skip this portion for brevity's sake. This leaves us with 3 more excerpts, one of them which asked Kojima if we can expect any more Hollywood actors to be revealed in the future for the project. Kojima's response was that while he can't say anything at the moment, he does believe that this method of working with Hollywood stars and actors in games will become the norm in the future, since creating games and creating movies are becoming more and more similar. Following up on that, the interviewer asked whether Death Stranding's protagonist was created with Norman Reedus in mind from the beginning, to which Kojima replied that yes, when he started thinking about the game, he did see Norman playing the character. The visuals of the character were actually based on using Norman Reedus as the precedent. Last but not least, the interviewer asked for a general update on how the game's development is going so far, and while Kojima couldn't say too much, he did reassure that they finally have a new office in Tokyo, they're hiring additional staff, and while they're still running some tests on the game, they have made it to the stage where they have the framework worked out, which means 2017 can be used to focus on hardcore production and development of the game. In other words, by 2017's end, I would expect the game to be in some playable form, and I think we can expect a ton of new updates this year, especially during upcoming events like E3 2017, Tokyo Game Show 2017, and PSX 2017. But yeah, to summarize this video, Death Stranding will allow players to drive vehicles in the free open world. Online will be optional and also different from what most people will expect from an online game, likely deeply integrated into the single player somehow, judging by what Kojima said about online not being your typical structure where you finish the main campaign first and then just go into online after that. And Death Stranding's development is kicking into full gear this year and beyond. So with that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below what you think about being able to drive vehicles in this game, and share with us any theories that you might have in regards to Death Stranding's mysterious online component. And to be further updated on all things Death Stranding, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out!